nothing I could say in Thor: The Dark World at all. But it did kind of introduce one of the Infinity Stones. The Ether contains the one stone. I don't know its name though. I only know I don't know the name of two stones depicted as they were first introduced in the Avengers. But at least we do get to see that, and we do see the. At least we get to see another Infinity Stone, which is from the Ether. This one, I guess you could say, Captain America's progression in the 21st century, and at least it's the only kind of like standalone Marvel film where it's not an adventure film where we have Maria Hill in it, like that. The first Avengers introduced Maria Hill, and we have her again in Age of Ultron. And now we're about to see her again in the Infinity War, according to the casting list. But this is the only kind of like standalone Marvel film where we do see Maria Hill in it. And I guess you could say the dramatic tone to introduce the Winter Soldier, and yes, I know, and because we'd be like, who the hell is the Winter Soldier behind that mask? And it turns out to be Captain America's friend from the first film, so that survived the fall. But to those who are comic book experts of Marvel, obviously knew who the Winter Soldier is. The only thing we did not know is that at the same time he was evil, he was the guy who killed Iron Man's parents until Civil War. And there was something I could have agreed with how it should have ended channel, is that if Cap threw a shield at Ult and Barnes grabbed it with his metal arm, he could have just scoffed it. Like even bad guys can even evil guys can steal, or compared to good guys who don't steal. Like good guys don't steal, but evil guys do. And I forgot to mention Black Widow's hair. Her hair used to be like this in Iron Man 2, and then her hair was like this in the first Avengers, and especially Avengers Age of Ultron. My concern is that her hair was briefly like this, and then in Age of Ultron she went back to the same hair style. Of course, that's not the only thing. Banner, who Mark Ruffalo's version of Banner, didn't even he kind of had in the post-end credits of Iron Man 3, he kind of had a little bit of a beard when he was listening to Tony's tales of Iron Man from the day he was born all up to the story of Iron Man 3. You can see he has a beard in the post-end credits scene, and then Age of Ultron he didn't have a beard at all. That's what I don't get. Sorry for that tangent, but you know what I mean. Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess you could say that they're the ones who knows more of Thanos than the Avengers ever do, and at least we do see to the point that the Guardians of the Galaxy are on their way to help the Avengers in the fight against Thanos, and that's 2 days ahead until that third Avengers come. Age of Ultron, I guess you could say the only favorite part, at least the Avengers are kind of progressing with each other as much, and Ultron kind of Ultron, I guess you could say, is kind of a scary villain. And from the very first teaser trailer of Ultron, introduced him as Pinocchio, kind of introduced him like the robot Pinocchio. My concern is that because of Disney's reason to buy the company, the way they've written these characters, treat them like Disney characters. For example, this film is treated like The Incredibles as a whole, between the relationship between Iron Man and the real Mandarin. I mean Guy Pearce's character. Then, and this film is like Ultron is singing the I Have No Strings thing, and Black Panther. Some people say it's kind of like the Lion King. And your father dies, and the father dies, and the prince takes his place as the new king. But that's not what I mean. What I mean to say is that at least in Age of Ultron, Thor's kind of more of an expert compared to the way he was like in the first Thor, and the way he. But I guess it's because since the progression he did progress in the first Thor and became more of an expert in the first Avengers and then the Dark World and then Age of Ultron. He's more clever in Age of Ultron about the Infinity Stones. Ant-Man, I guess you could say I guess you could say that it is a character who claims he's not a criminal, but he's doing what he can to see his daughter. It's what we call redemption, and then at least he gets to meet Captain America in the Civil War film. This film, the only kind of scene I guess you could say would be the airport scene, because we do see the recognized heroes in action. Captain America, Spider-Man, Iron Man, you name it. And we do see, and there is a scene when Spider-Man and Captain America kind of clashed. And there is that one part of the airport scene when Spider-Man and Captain America did clash alone. And why I kind of prefer that is because Spider-Man's more of a Spider-Man's more of a Batman than Iron Man ever was. I know the reason Iron Man and Batman are equals because their personal egos. It was Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark, billionaire scientists, but Spider-Man is more of a thing that rivals Batman, and Captain America is what rivals Superman. Doctor Strange, I guess you could say, would be the time amulet that it contains the time stone. Like you get to if you could reverse, you could use that to reverse time, and change the past. Can't say much on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Spider-Man Homecoming. The only favorite part I guess you could say that does treat itself like the other standalone Spider-Man films, because it is distributed by Sony, and the villains in this film are nothing to relate to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's like the Vulture. And speaking of which, the only favorite part about this version of the Vulture, at least, he's not like the Vulture in the. If those who saw the Spider-Man anime series, where he and any younger human being swapped places of who's oldest and who's younger. At least this version of the Vulture's not like that. And to those who intertwine with the other MCU films, at least we know that Downey Jr. is not the only one in this film. There are others like Happy Hogan, who has more of a big part than Happy Hogan, who portrayed by Jon Favreau, has more of a part in this film than Iron Man or even Pepper Potts ever did. Pepper Potts do appear. And I forgot to mention one least favorite part about this. One least favorite part about Iron Man 2 is that they had to recanonize Peter Parker's appearance. To those who've seen Iron Man 2, if you ever seen a kid wearing an Iron Man and mask and glove thrusters trying to acting like he's fighting one of Justin Hammer's robots, and Iron Man saves that kid, they recanonize that as Peter Parker. One of the things I feel like is that they shouldn't have recanonized it, because that would have kind of ruined the character entrance that we saw him in this film. But other than that, Tom Holland. The only good thing about Tom Holland is he did kind of bring back. He does have a little bit of Tobey Maguire's resemblance when he's kind of like the Peter Parker form. One of the things I just feel like that could have been better. One of the things that kind of didn't act accurate to the comics is that the suit he's wearing is that in the comics and stuff, Peter Parker is the one who creates the suit himself, whereas this incarnation is different, because this is a suit created by Tony Stark. And to those who've seen the film, it does have the headset. It does contain artificial intelligence, who he calls Karen, I think. In the way Iron Man had Jarvis from the first Iron Man to Age of Ultron, and then Friday from Age of Ultron to now. With Thor Ragnarok, the only favorite part I guess you could say will have to be that Hulk now manages to speak a little. Is that at least the Hulk in this film at least managed to speak? Yeah.